We have so many big stories to get through today, including Conference League news. We discuss the latest player targets. We discuss Gallagher's farewell, as well as us reaching an agreement to sign this Brazilian wonderkid. So many things to get through. Can't afford to waste any more time in the intro. You know what to do already. Hit that like button, share your thoughts and opinions, and let's get straight into things. So let's discuss the latest Conference League news first, because today we finally learned who we're set to play in the playoff game. And of course, he played the playoffs in the Conference League before the final group stage is announced. And we're set to play either Braga of Portugal or Servette of the Swiss League. Now, Braga reached a third place position in the Champions League group stage last season, and in their league position, they ranked 4th place. For Servette, they ranked around 3rd place in the Swiss League, and last season, both teams showed their clout playing in European competition, with Servette reaching the knockout round stages in the Conference League. So it's one of those games where if you're not focused, if you're not on point, if you're complacent, if you take it for granted, we could be embarrassed. And I'm hoping that won't be the case, because the first leg game is set to take place on the 22nd of this month. That will be at home, and the second leg game will be a week later. Now, after our first leg performance against either team, we have a league game like 3 days after. So I think we'll finally see our first signs of who the Conference League team is set to be, as well as seeing who the Prem team is set to be. As we know, we're building a big squad to get ready to potentially play around 75 to 80 games next season. So let's make sure we can build some confidence now. I'm sorry, but now we are in the Conference League. I'm sorry. There's no excuses. We must win this. We must win this convincingly. It has to be a guaranteed W in this tournament. Yeah, I'm sorry, but by far the strongest team on paper. And if we fail to lift the Conference League, there will be big questions that must be answered to. So my friends, that's the Conference League news out the way. And now we discuss the latest transfer news, because today we're finally learning big news coming out from Brazil that we have reached an agreement with Grêmio to sign 16-year-old new Neymar and Gabriel Mec. Now, we've reached an agreement of around 24 million euros to sign Mec, and he is set to sign a 5-year deal plus 2-year extension on top. Now, our first offer for the young, exciting winger was 7 million upfront with an additional 7 million in add-ons. That was swiftly rejected by Grêmio, and they wanted around 20 million upfront with a further 10 million in add-ons. So the fact that we've agreed a fee of around 24 million euros, I guess it's okay, but then of course there is that perspective knowing the fact that this isn't normal money to pay for teenagers. Not many teenagers at 16 years old, 17 or whatever, are going for these types of fees or prices. So you must have a degree of confidence that you are signing and committing this money into signing one of the next big things. And I must say that Gabriel Mec is the definition of the wonder kid that I probably envisioned in my head, considering, you know, he's got the 5-star skills, superb footwork. He has those uncoachable qualities that you just can't train. I mean, he's so instinctive with his dribbling. He's so imaginative. He finds these angles other players don't see. The way he can just quickly shift his weight with his body, the body balance on top of the quick feet. I mean, the guy is an incredible, exciting looking talent. And as I've said, I've got no qualms when it comes to investing in future talents like this, because as I said, back when we used to have guys like Eden Hazard or Drogba's and Co's, if you could have told me that we could also include proper wonder kids from South America on top of that type of quality, honestly, my guys, like, I would take your whole arm off for that, you know what I mean? But as I stress, I'm hoping that now that we are investing everything into the future, we now create that environment where we can develop these guys. That is my biggest concern. I'm not saying that I'm fearful, but I must see more evidence towards the fact that we have that elite environment that can cater towards the next future stars. At the moment, Mec is set to now complete his medical test before officially signing the documents and becoming our player. It's interesting and exciting that so much South American talent now, they are excited at our project. They do want to sign for us. Hopefully, fingers crossed, this project that's been rushed finds some legs, does grow, because we could be tapping into a new potential audience in South America where all of the best talents from that region in the future going forwards would have that aspiration to want to play for us in the Premier League. So that is the Gabriel Mec news out the way. How do you guys feel about this? Are you excited? let us know. And sticking on with the transfer news, we now discuss a long-term striker target in this window, and we have yet again further updates surrounding Samu Omorodion. He's currently representing Spain in this year's Olympics. He's scored 1 goal in 3 games so far. He does have competition alongside the much older Abel Ruiz up front. And I know you guys have probably seen his compilation clip in the Olympics. I know there was a lot of, pretty mean comparisons to Lukaku, as if like that type of build and play style means that these guys got no tech and they're awful players. But he scored a goal, great header, and sometimes in this sport, there's a reason why all the ballers that we used to see, in 5-a-side games, 7-a-side, in them cages back in the day, aren't guaranteed to become the next top division stars in the Premier League, because this game needs more than just having nice footwork. Anyway, this afternoon we have some big updates from Spain. DiMarzio and Fabrizio Romano too. Now, DiMarzio and Mundo Deportivo report the fact that right now we are still pushing hard to try and sign the striker. He has always been our main striker target this summer, and DiMarzio reports that we are hoping to complete this operation up to the tune of around 50 million euros. Now, there's no ideas whether there's like bonuses or clauses included in this. It seems like a more reasonable figure, considering reports came out back in the day that they turned down a 40 million euro bid from us. Let's see what they do, but I guess it was very unsurprising that with Conor Gallagher now set to go to Atletico Madrid, and I'll be discussing him after this report, it would make a lot of sense that we would also inquire about Omorodion within these same negotiations. So let's see what happens there. But to move on now to Fabrizio Romano, he reports the fact that, yes, we have maintained those conversations for Omorodion, but we are now hoping to make a bid of around 35 million euros to sign him. And I'm like, wow, this is kind of mad, because the last reports reported that we actually offered more money than this 35 million euros. However, maybe now things have changed. It did seem like we took a big reduction when it came to accepting Atleti's offer for Conor Gallagher. We wanted around £50 million. We're now selling him for 33.7 million. Aston Villa bid around 57 million earlier this summer, so we're taking a massive hit on the potential prof that we hope to earn from him. But maybe you're doing that because you're also hoping that Atleti may play ball and lower their asking price now for Omorodion, because they've now signed Alexander Sorloth from Villarreal, and as we know, reports have been heavily intensifying around them hoping to sign Julian Alvarez from Man City. So if you've got Sorloth and Alvarez alongside Felix, who could potentially remain there, Griezmann and other players of this nature, do Atleti necessarily need to keep Omorodion? Of course, Simeone likes him. Of course, they believe in his potential. But if they can get guaranteed money for his sale, making a big profit after only signing him for 6 million last season, that could really help their top division demands of challenging for the title. And you're more likely to do that if you have an Alvarez up front in your team compared to Omorodion at this current stage of his career. Reports have mentioned for a long time that we believe that Omorodion can become one of the most important strikers in Europe. Let's see how things go, and if he's available for a much more feasible fee of around 35 million euros, 40 million euros, at least that's something, right? Now, what does this say for Mark Yu? Welcome to Chelsea Football Club. This is what it's about. They say that you're the guy we believe in, then they'll sign your age mate the following month. But it does continue the strategy we're seeing, where it does seem like we are hoping to have at least 3 options for each position and hope that someone comes out on top from that battle. And as I keep saying all the time, it does seem like we have this bit of like a Hunger Games development style going on right now. We'll see if this is the most successful way to develop a team. Time will tell, but that is the latest news surrounding Omorodion. Share your thoughts and opinions. And now we discuss the latest surrounding Conor Gallagher. Now, this news first broke in the early hours of this morning around 3 AM, courtesy of who else? Fabrizio Romano. And it has been revealed that Gallagher now has committed to and accepted Atletico Madrid's offer. Now, we knew today was the deadline for Gallagher to decide his future, because Atleti weren't going to waste time. If this move fell through, they already had that plan B replacement in check, and that was Javi Guerrera of Valencia. Of course, that move won't be going through at this point in time, because Atletico Madrid now have agreed a 5-year deal for Gallagher. His wage bracket will rise up to the tune of 200k a week, but This does include bonuses that take the total fee to 200,000. So obviously there will be a fixed fee plus clauses that obviously allow him to earn more if he scores goals, gets assists, etc, etc. With our insistence on allowing no players to leave this club on a free after heavily criticizing the ownership for allowing Christensen and Rudiger to leave for free in the same window, it meant the club were forced to play hardball. Connor, if you don't accept our paltry 2 + 1 year deal where this bare minimum contract extension is only given to you so it can at least inflate and maintain your market value, if you don't accept that for those terms, then you're going to be banished to the reserve teams. You won't be playing for the first team because listen, we're not allowing you to leave on a free. We are going to cash in on you. We're going to make that pure profit and we're going to reinvest that money back into signing someone that might not be as good as you. Yeah, I know I'm being a little bit cynical with that final one. But after much discussion with his team, his family, and even players like Kieran Trippier who gave the co-sign for the move to Atletico Madrid, Connor realized, you know what? Maybe this is the next step in my career. And to be fair, I think this is a great move for him. I normally think when a player really complements the philosophy of a manager and a team, that is the best playing environment to be in professionally. And I do think this guy will enjoy living his life as a millionaire with his wife in sunny Madrid, playing top football in an exciting league. I think he'll become a better player for that because Gallagher has been on the rise now for the past 2 years. So yeah, nice move for him. I hope he does well, and obviously I'll be watching him because I do kind of have a soft spot for Atleti. If you guys have been watching me for a while, I've always said that I really started to watch him back when Fernando Torres was making his name there, and then Sergio Aguero, Diego Forlan, and obviously the title winning season in the 13-14 season. For me, that's one of the best footballing seasons I've seen from a team. So, you know, I'm hoping that Gallagher, of course, does do really well for them. With Gallagher's sale imminent now, it means that we brought in around 124 million in total and we've spent around 96 million in total. Now, do most of these signings really push the needle? No, they don't. And do I think that we're releasing Gallagher for way too little? I personally do. I think this is a massive bargain for Atleti. The moment he signs that contract, his market value on transfer market will go up by 1.5x. And it is no surprise that he had so many clubs after him because last season he announced himself as one of the all-action midfield players in Europe. I think we don't really appreciate his game enough. I've been constantly reading such poor football takes, criticizing his technique, criticizing the fact that he may struggle to play this technical football under Maresca, which is nonsense because he was with Leicester City last season, for God's sake, and not one of their players. Actually, no, I can't even say that because Kieran Dewsbury Hall is now playing for us. But I just think that after everything we saw from Gallagher last season, those drifting ones-out rides to allow Palmer to move in field, how he played in every single midfield role, you know, in a 2, in a 3, and further forwards, him receiving on the half turn, his ability to score with either foot. He was the best long shot taker out of anyone in the squad. He's the fittest player. He's someone you can rely upon who constantly gives you 7 out of 10s on a minimum and plays the game at great tempo. Yes, is he going to play a defense splitting pass like Enzo Fernandez? No, but he's not in the team to do that. And I've always really hated those types of football arguments when you're criticizing players for doing things that they're not in the team to do to begin with. I think his sell will be a loss for the squads. I do think last season he was a guy that helped elevate Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez by providing that support around them. Listen, Caicedo's got a long way to go. He's got great potential. We saw that near the end of last season, but my God, the guy is a bit naive at times, can be a bit of a foul magnet, you know, can put you under pressure and can get caught on the ball at times too. So seeing what him and Enzo do without that protection around him, I think it will have to come from the system now under Maresca. Let's see how that plays out. But I'm not going to lie, I am a bit disappointed by this. But I think this is the summer now where, you know, I've accepted that anything that came before this ownership doesn't matter. They'll get flipped, they'll get sold on. But what I'm going to say is that once your Gallaghers, Brogers and Jalabers go, we don't have anyone from the academy who's between 20 to 24 years old that you could sell for 20 to 40 million anymore. We've exhausted everything. So this must mean that we get things right this window. This season, we must get Champions League football guaranteed, because if we don't do that after selling all our final resources that actually benefited and added a lot more to the team than certain signings we've made, God knows what the future holds for us. But until the final game of the season comes, I guess we can keep that hope for now, right? So that's the Gallagher news out the way. Share your thoughts. Are you pissed off by this? Do you not care because you've always told yourself he's not good enough to begin with? Let us know. And to end things with the final report, a pretty interesting report coming out from Sky Sports, and they report that we are already obviously looking at replacements for Conor Gallagher. And interestingly, the name that's been mentioned is Celtic's very clever, very smart, and very likable midfield player in Matt O'Reilly. Now, Matt O'Reilly is someone I grew very familiar with because I like to play FM on the side. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm doing my edits. I got my FM save on my separate screen beside me. And in them saves, he was constantly getting moves to the big clubs every single time. I had to check out on him, and I saw his exploits last season, especially in the Champions League. And I have to say that this guy is a very talented midfield player that I think will be playing for one of the biggest clubs within the next 1 to 3 years. I think he is that good. Last season at Celtic, he got I think 18 goals and 13 assists for the season. But obviously the Scottish League isn't the strongest league. You won't get the full gauge and idea of, how ready a player is to step up to the next level. But what I will say is that his exploits in the Champions League really show that this is a player that is meant for that level, because he got 3 assists, including a late one against Feyenoord, of course, an assist against Atletico Madrid. And if you know about Matt O'Reilly, he was one of the top prospects within the coaching scene in this country when he spent I think 7 to 8 years with Fulham's academy. For whatever reason, he didn't make it there, and he took a very unconventional route to find himself in the spotlight in the game rank. He went to MK Dons, and very quickly everyone realized this guy was way too good for the level, because he's just playing football on a level no one else can compare to. Postecoglou spotted him, brought him to Celtic, and since then he hasn't looked back. And I think the main thing about the Celtic move is that it allows him to play his football further develop, as well as getting that exposure to European football, which is an even higher level than the Scottish League. It is a reminder that development is not linear. I keep saying this all the time. Yeah, it might look linear when you compare things over the course of years, but if you look at each individual year, there'll be ups and downs, ups and downs, ups and downs. You just want to see if that ups and downs are going up and up, right? But I do think Matt O'Reilly is a good player. There's a reason why Atalanta are hoping to sign him, putting in a lot of effort to get him. And I think he would be a superb replacement if Cooper Miners does leave them to go to Juventus. Now let's see, clubs in Germany, France, and this country have been following the midfield player. And with this type of attention he's getting, I'm not expecting him to remain at Celtic for too long. I think the guy's a very clever player. He's one of those players where, even though he has a great engine and he is capable physically, he doesn't rely on his physicality, right? His speed comes from how he thinks. That's what makes him clever. He can play all types of passes, the reverse balls, balls over the top. He has that composure to split defenses open. He has a great left foot, nice shooting range and ability. And he's also a smart player where he's more likely to make an interception. Is he someone I would sign to replace Conor Gallagher? Right now, absolutely not. And it's not because he's not good enough. I just think that the guy is too smart to want to sign for us, have a stupid amount of competition, knowing that you could go to Atalanta, perform for 2 years, and you'll have all the big clubs desperately trying to sign you after that. So I'm not expecting too much from this. I think it's interesting that his profile is being looked at, but I do find it baffling that if Gallagher goes, I thought his replacement was Dewsbury Hall. You want to sign another guy to replace him? Doesn't make too much sense to me, but I don't know. Even though I do value some of the decisions and moves and strategy we've seen under this ownership, I think at times there's just too much unnecessary meddling when it comes to just player recruitment. And if there's a bit more focus where, you know what I mean, we just sign 2, 3 top players to elevate weaknesses, I think we'd be done. So that's all the stories today, my friends. If any more comes, of course, stay tuned on Blue Lions TV. And on that note, I'm Nini FC. This is Blue Lions TV. See you all soon.